Introduction to Raspberry Pi. What is Raspberry Pi? The Raspberry Pi is a series of small single-board computers developed in the United Kingdom, by the Raspberry Pi Foundation to promote the teaching of basic computer science in schools and in developing countries. The original model became far more popular than anticipated, selling outside of its target market for uses such as robotics. Over 5 million Raspberry Pis have been sold before February 2015, making it the best-selling British computer. By November 2016 they had sold 11 million units. This are Raspberry Pi sales from 2012 to 2015. Raspberry Pi 3 Model B. The timeline. The first generation, Raspberry Pi 1 Model B, was released in February 2012. It was followed by a simpler and inexpensive Model A. In 2014, the Foundation released a board with an improved design in Raspberry Pi 1 Model B+. These boards are approximately credit card sized and represent the standard mainline form factor. Improved A and B and models were released a year later. A compute module was released in April 2014 for embedded applications, and a Raspberry Pi Zero with smaller size and reduced input/output, I/O, and general-purpose input/output, GPIO, capabilities was released in November 2015 for $5. The Raspberry Pi 2, which added more RAM, was released in February 2015. Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, released in February 2016, is bundled with onboard Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and USB boot capabilities. As of January 2017, Raspberry Pi 3 Model B is the newest mainline Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi boards are priced between $535. As of February 28, 2017, the Raspberry Pi Zero W was launched, which is identical to the Raspberry Pi Zero, but has the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth functionality of the Raspberry Pi 3 for $10. Features of Raspberry Pi. All models feature a Broadcom system on a chip, SoC, which includes an ARM-compatible Central Processing Unit, CPU, and an on-chip Graphics Processing Unit, GPU, a Video Core 4. CPU speed ranges from 700 MHz to 1.2 GHz for the Pi 3, and onboard memory range from 256 MB to 1 GB RAM. Secure digital, SD, cards are used to store the operating system and program memory in either the SDHC or micro SDHC sizes. Most boards have between 1 and 4 USB slots, HDMI and composite video output, and a 3.5 mm phono jack for audio. Lower level output is provided by a number of GPIO pins which support common protocols like I Superscript 2C. The B models have an 8P8C Ethernet port, and the Pi 3 and Pi Zero W have onboard Wi-Fi 802.11n and Bluetooth. Operating system. The Foundation provides Raspbian, a Debian-based Linux distribution for download, as well as third-party Ubuntu, Windows 10 IoT Core, RISC OS, and specialized Media Center distributions. It promotes Python and Scratch as the main programming language, with support for many other languages. The default firmware is closed source, while an unofficial open source is available. RAM. The Raspberry Pi 2 and the Raspberry Pi 3 have 1 GB of RAM. The Raspberry Pi Zero and Zero W have 512 MB of RAM. Operating systems. These are some of the operating system used by Raspberry Pi. Linux-based operating systems are Android Things, Arch Linux, OpenSUSE, Raspberry Pi Fedora Remix, Fedora, Gentoo Linux, CentOS Raspberry Pi, Kali Linux, Slackware ARM, Puppy Linux. Other operating systems are RISC OS Pi, FreeBSD, NetBSD, Windows 10 IoT Core, Haiku, Helen OS. History. In 2006, early concepts of the Raspberry Pi were based on the Atmel ATmega 644 microcontroller. Its schematics and PCB layout are publicly available. Foundation trustee Eben Upton assembled a group of teachers, academics, and computer enthusiasts to devise a computer to inspire children. The computer is inspired by Acorn's BBC Micro of 1981. The Model A, Model B and Model B and names are references to the original models of the British educational BBC Micro computer, developed by Acorn Computers. The first ARM prototype version of the computer was mounted in a package the same size as a USB memory stick. It had a USB port on one end and an HDMI port on the other. The Foundation's goal was to offer two versions, priced at $25 and $35. They started accepting orders for the higher-priced Model B on February 29, 2012, the lower-cost Model A on February 4, 2013. And the even lower-cost, $20 A and on November 10, 2014. On November 26, 2015, the cheapest Raspberry Pi yet, the Raspberry Pi Zero, was launched at $5 or £4. Thank you.